Good news for you, both of you, is this is not a huge amount of slides. Niching it sounds simple, but it's not easy. Niching is a verb. I've turned it into a verb just for convenience. So rather than wait for everybody, I'll just get it up. Let me just check in. So Jackie, you've been seeing clients, haven't you? You trained nutrition as well, is that right? Oh, did I press record yet?
Yeah, I finished nutritional therapy, and I was also a personal trainer. So I was doing bits of both, but it was more sports nutrition as opposed to nutritional therapy. So I kind of doing bits of everything, basically.
Yeah, the generous. Okay. And so thank you, Joe. This is the thing, I was a generalist, and I still am to some extent, but when it comes to marketing and kind of getting a predictable flow of clients, then getting your niche is very important.
Yeah.
So is that what you've kind of been doing? Whatever, I suppose, go where the business takes you. Is that what it was like?
Me, yeah, definitely.
Okay, super. And Marianne, what about when did we finish up? Was it?
Oh, not very long ago. I've only just got my certification. So I've got a very medical, clinical background, and I fell in love with health quite near the end of my career in disease, so to speak. Yeah. So it took me a long time to see the light. And so I've definitely got a niche, and I want to use a bit of my background, but obviously as a health coach rather than a clinician. So, and I work for the Fast 800 program, which is, the Michael Mosley's program.
Oh.
So I do see clients, but it's an online program. So it's not exactly health coaching. It's a hybrid, I suppose. So I'm an online health coach. It's very different, really. It's less individual. So yeah, but it's still been a very good springboard from clinical work to health coaching, which is where I want to go. Okay. And now I've got the certificate. Now I'm scared to death to do anything with it. So I'm at that sort of place where I do this with everything I ever do. I did it in the clinical world too, where you get the qualification, then think, oh no, I can't do it. So I'm at that awful place where I think, who's going to pay me to do health coaching? So I do have a colleague that I work with, and we are going to do something together, I hope. So that'll be fun for us both to look after each other a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, no, so actually, it's exactly, I suppose, why I'm giving this event is sad but true. Like before the coaching training, I also trained people in NLP, and I trained in nutritional therapy, and I got involved with IHS, as both of you know, and a big question is, why do so many people get certified and then don't go on to make it? As the same in coaching, same in NLP, and there is an awful lot involved. So I suppose when you get your certificate, you've been going for your certification, isn't it? And you've been trying to get there, and then suddenly you get it, and it's like, the end is just the beginning, is what so there's still so much to figure out all of that. And I suppose that's what I try and offer some value these days is, it took when I initially started out, a little bit more about me for what's relevant today. So I'm from a farming background. So I was full-time farming. It was a large family farm, did that until my late 20s, and then I guess someone in the waiting room. Hi, Danny and Ethan here. Welcome to the room. Danny, I'm just going through a little bit more about me and my background. And I think that's kind of relevant for today. So what I was in, I'm from a farming background. I was full-time farming, left school, didn't know what to do, went home to farm, and I was quite happy for a long time. And then I was like, oh, this calling started to kick in, and it was like I started to be reading nutrition and health-related articles, and books, and then eventually I recommended it and to do a self-development course, and from that was amazing. So then I realized that the trainer had used NLP, so I was really fascinated by that. Found the course almost straight away and got trained in it. Now, for me, I left my my training, and I had a client that Tuesday evening. I don't know, within a week. Now I traveled to her house. I charged €25, princely sum, but I got a good result and I got experience and I helped me get confidence. So it was very gradual at the start for me. Hey, Danny. It was very gradual start. I didn't rush into it. I didn't know about all this stuff. I didn't know what a niche was. It's only the last few years, I suppose, that I really needed to knuckle down and get clearer on this. So before that, I was a generalist. In NLP, I was getting a lot of good results, but it was generalist, as in I didn't know what people would book a session to come in and tell me what's going on. So I did no clue, and I was just using my skills to help them. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's very, very hard to do any kind of marketing plan or create a kind of consistent flow of clients without knowing your a niche and a target audience. So I kind of had to figure out a lot along the way. And so I'm trying to maybe shorten the gap for you, because I was farming background. I was farming, and I went full-time, then I went part-time farming. I trained coaches. I had the job at the college, so I didn't have to fill my week up with clients straight away. But then as I needed resilience, I needed to find this and refine this. So in the niching, a little bit more about me. So since then, let me just cover this slide. Background in nutritional therapy. It's kind of relevant for those of you who aren't just coaches, So I was a nutritional therapist. NLP was a big part of my life. I trained to a high level in that, and I trained NLP practitioners. I think, Jackie, I trained you as a practitioner, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
And then I did the health and wellness coaching. I also did another course in human potential coaching, which was kind of a follow, just for my own purpose, just to get a deeper grounding in coaching. I'm a health and wellness coach trainer at the Institute of Health Sciences. I think all of you on the call know me from there, but for those in the recording, I've trained over 200 health and wellness coaches, and I've been doing it for about 7-8 years. My brand is Design Your Life Coaching. In 2020, I became an accredited thought leader in behavioral change, and last year I was awarded Lifestyle Coach of the Year by Prestige Awards. So enough about me, because this is really all about you. And actually, it's not about you as well. It's really about who you help. So your niching it's not about me, not about you. It's really about who you're going to help, who you are best suited to work with. So I like to use metaphors, as some of you probably already know. So what I kind of come up with for this is that a niche. What is this niching? It made sense to me when okay. So to use my metaphor now, you think of the garden. So who here likes gardening, or you want to have a garden? You live in a forest, Marianne. I'm sure you're quite nature.
Yeah, I do have a garden. It's completely runs away from me, but
okay.
Yeah.
Well, if it completely runs away from you, it sounds like some of those plants, whatever they are, weeds or plants, are doing really well in the situation. So think of like, if you're a gardener, maybe you get an impulse buy somewhere and you get a beautiful plant and you bring it home. And you have a garden. Now the garden's going to have shady spots, dry spots, fertile spots, kind of less fertile spots, sheltered spots, windy spots, all these different microclimates, even within your own garden. So you're looking to place your plant where it will most thrive, where it will be able to really to grow and be nourished and get the right amount of sunlight, the right amount of not wind, but whatever the breeze going through the leaves does, moisture, etc. So think about finding your niche as you thinking, okay, I'm this plant. Where would I best be situated? Where could I place myself where I'm most likely to thrive? And for us, the garden is really the people and the environment where we know where we believe or we feel we will do the best. Now, you'll know when you get there. Your body, your mind, everything will just you'll just feel great. But before, maybe you've had a few of those experiences already, and they're really valuable. But if you haven't got enough experience from, you know, coaching lots of clients, we don't have your history of coaching to build on. But if you have, but what you do have is your whole life experience. We'll look at that soon. So really that's it, is about where can you place yourself, where you're most likely to thrive. Now, to put that over to the other, where you're most likely to thrive is, where you will be able to have the biggest impact on people, or where you'll be able to provide the most value to others. And so they will thrive around you as well. But let me just check in on the metaphor. Good afternoon, Golden, if I got the pronunciation right, and please correct me if I'm wrong. How that metaphor landed for any of you, Mary, Jackie, Danny, who heard it? Did you already know that? Does it help starting of that positioning?
I didn't hear of it before, but it makes sense.
Okay. And do you feel okay, next question is like, how well do you think you've positioned yourself already? Are you basking in the sun, getting all of the rain you need and flowing, or do you still feel you're a little bit tucked away somewhere, not really?
I think I'm positioned myself in the place I'm most confident about helping people in, I suppose. But I think in time, I suspect things change as you get more confident or explore new areas. So I'm very interested in health in aging for obvious reasons as well. So it might be that, you know, as you explore and you get clients, that things take slightly different turns. At the moment, I'm completely enveloped in metabolic health and aging and obesity. So I suppose I'm waiting to see how it turns out.
Okay.
I haven't got a fixed view of who I might absolutely in the end feel confident about helping. I think in the beginning, it's very nice to have an area where you feel that you know where you are.
Good. So to start off with this, and it can take a while. Some people say, you know, your niche will find you, but you need to get started, and that works if you're getting clients. So we're trying to get that balance between keeping moving, and your niche will be refined over time. So the more specific the niche you will get, the better. It's like find that perfect spot where you will thrive. However, you don't have to get there straight away. It's kind of like, you know, if you're a gardener, using the metaphor again, you might position the plant. It might work here, and you know what? For some reason, it doesn't, and you might move it again the next year, or you might realize that it needs to be right. So consider kind of how close perhaps you are to that, and maybe you let's go back to the formula. So where you will thrive, who will benefit the most? That's really the first part of this formula. Let's look at this formula. It's really simple. When you have this niche nailed down, it will be, I help, such and such, I help train coaches that want more clients to develop online programs. I help introverted or an empathic health and wellness coaches to overcome self-doubt to grow their business. So there's different ways you can just phrase that. And for anyone here got a loose version of this yet, you might have worked on. If you're not there, that's what this webinar is for. But you might have come across this before. In my experience, I found it incredibly hard. As coming from that generalist background, I found, oh my God, I coached and done NLP with young, old, male, female, rich, poor, every kind of background I could think of. There was no pattern there from the kind of my initial look. So the first one is really, who do you help? And who you help really, it's down to you. Like Marianne said, you want to be confident, especially starting off or in the early stages of coaching. You want to set yourself up for success, and that is setting your clients up for success. So who do you think you want to serve? There's the ideal client, and your ideal client really is the who. So this first part of the formula is really around that, find that ideal client. So to find that kind of niche, there's different things you can ask yourself. One of them might be, there's on my next slide here. Yeah, is you have your qualifications and credentials. So that might, some of your trained coaches, I'm not too sure. Is it Golden? If you want to come in anytime, please do. I've got your name right?
Hi, yes, it is right. It's Gulden.
Gulden.
And I am a nutrition and lifestyle coach. Recently graduated, actually. I didn't start my business yet, but I am in the I'm preparing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is really helpful to hear all of this. And for me, I actually thought about who I can help with. Good. Because I myself became vegetarian 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And having, I realized that later I realized that I have soy allergies. Like I don't have, it's mild, but I had general discomfort after eating soy products, especially tofu. So later, from my experience, I struggled with vegetarianism or staying plant-based, like vegetarian. So I would really love to help people like myself, because I coach myself, and I know that how daunting it can be trying to figure things out, and healthy eating and staying healthy as well. So like with your sentence, like I help these people, I can confidently say that I definitely want to help people like myself, plant-based and vegetarian clients who wants more help with healthy meal plans, healthy eating and recipes, and general help around that.
Good. So you got a lovely point there, Gulden. You are your previous you is your ideal client.
Yeah.
It may all change when you have got loads of experience behind yourself. So think of what you've been through, kind of challenges that you have faced and well, and you're now on the other side of it, because they give you what? I think what does that give you, Gulden? Is it you've been there and you've overcome it, and now you've sorted out, you've got to identify the soy allergies, you've become vegetarian. What challenges did you overcome to get there, or what? I'm sorry, actually, how do you feel now you've overcome those challenges?
I feel actually it was difficult, the challenge. I can start from the challenges, because I didn't know that I would, from my culture, we don't eat that much soy products in the Mediterranean way of eating. We don't eat that much tofu or soy products, so I didn't know that I was not digesting it well, or how would I react. So I kept eating it because it's a really good source of protein and that. So after feeling a huge discomfort, it took a while until I realized that it is the source is soy products. So the challenge started after I realized that, because I felt really restricted in what I can cook, how to arrange a healthy meal plan, how to arrange my macronutrients, without I also have troubles with iron levels. So
good.
Yes, I wanted to be really careful, and I felt really restricted and a bit anxious, and it was a challenge to get over this. I almost came this close to saying that, oh, maybe this way of eating is not for me, because I didn't like feeling really restricted. So it took a lot of reading new recipes and reading a lot about what can I do, how else can I balance my macronutrients in my diet. So it took a lot of courage and reading and knowledge and research to overcome this kind of feeling and this kind of restricted feeling. and to feel confident again.
Well done, well done. So
Yeah.
well done. So and this is the advantage of going back to your own challenges, and actually, does it feel like a challenge now? What challenge you had 2 years ago? No, we're focusing on the next challenge, and it's like, oh, for being that. But just think of that. There are loads of people out there who are just coming up against the same stuff that we had months, years, weeks ago. And this is another thing in coaching. We only need to be able to help the client take the next step. We don't have to have everything figured out. So one of the things way we sabotage ourselves is, we don't know enough. I need to do another training. I need to do more expertise. I need another qualification, and then I can help them. So I think it's much better value to look back at your challenges and breakthroughs. I call them breakthroughs, but maybe challenges you've overcome. What's going to be really useful when we get to the pain, the what that people are going through, because we know that we've embodied it and lived through it. So they're really powerful. You also want to think about, and also what I want to say there is, if you think about your challenge and you went and think of what you had to go through, Golda. You had to, number one, what people feeling is, you didn't know it was tofu. So you had to kind of somehow over time refine that out. And that you have to follow leads, and you have successes and failures. And you can shorten that time down for someone else massively. And that's value. That's valuable. We want to get you away from charging per hour or something and just thinking about, what transformation can I offer? Where can I get a person from where they are now to the other side? And think of where you are now in relation to the challenge you formerly had. That's the kind of outcome you can be offered to people. So that's important. And then the other thing is, it gives you certainty, because as a coach, if you're trying to sell a service, as an MLC or in the wellness business, what's really powerful is a sense of certainty. And if someone is talking to you and this person, I really feel this person can help me. Now, why is, well, maybe the why is that, well, they know this challenge really well. They've been here themselves and they've got through it. So maybe it's possible. It's certain for you, but it's uncertain for them. So it's beautiful. It's like, here's someone who's been there before, who knows this. They don't know your journey, but they know this challenge, and they've got through it, and they offer hope and inspiration. And then if you're a service, it's also then perhaps support, knowledge, guidance, and more. So that certainty is really powerful. So look for the certainty that you can offer, and you may not have it from experience, which is another way we sabotage yourself. I don't have enough experience. I can't coach anybody. So look inside yourself and your own history and pick those out. Another thing is, like, who do you know? So Goldan, you gave us an example of, I help people, are they vegetarians? So you want to nail down that people. So people read this statement and want to go, oh, that's me or not me? Really, yay or nay. You really want to get messages like, for me or not me? And if it's not for me, we move on. And if it's for them, there's a little bit of interest here. So who do you know? Who do you like to work with? Perhaps do you know that? Is it a certain age? Is it a male or a female? Is it maybe you really know teachers really well? Maybe you know coaches really well. Like in my world, I know a lot of coaches. I train coaches. I coach. I hang out with coaches. I like coaches. I love coaches. So who here has got an idea of the kind of person? I want to get specific. You put in the chat box there. Give me some ideas of who you think. We may need to refine this.
Would it be appropriate to say busy professionals?
Busy professionals. That's quite specific. Yes, that's not a bad one at all.
Yeah.
So who else? Who else? And not just you, Goldan. Anybody else got an idea of their target audience, their ideal client? Are they athletes, or are they struggling moms who are they just a parent with no time, or is it
I'd like to get into I suppose be coaching and educating kind of kids in their mid-teens before they go on and form really steadfast life habits, you know what I mean? Like at the moment, I'm getting a kind of dribble of kids, and they're, say, kind of 13 to 15, and they're in, they play sports, obviously, but they're kind of competitive, and they want to learn how to eat, or not to eat, but to eat nutritiously. And I'd like that to see on a more broad spectrum, kids that age, not just sporty kids, if you get my meaning.
Okay, not just, so currently your niche is, currently you're seeing a lot of those teenagers who are sporty.
Yeah.
Broaden that out.
Yeah.
Okay, so another thing is that you can have that kind of a statement like this, and it can change a little bit depending on who you're talking to. It doesn't have to be set in stone. So you could be like, I help teenagers, or it's like, I help teenagers involved in sport, or I help sporty teenagers. That the more specific, the more targeted it is.
Yeah.
And the more power it will have. But sometimes it's too specific and it's not relevant. In your case, maybe is it what teenagers summed up for you, Jackie?
Sorry?
What teenagers, are they all teenagers?
Yeah, they're mostly teenagers. And then sometimes you'll get a younger sister or brother that their parents just want them to start to hear it from somebody else, I suppose, besides their mom and dad telling them all the time, you should eat this and you should eat that,
Yeah. So yeah, sometimes it's just our parents words are lost on us,
yeah.
You just have to pay someone else to tell them for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so you could go teenagers, or you can, and so if you understand the challenge you're up against, it's often I have to give you a better description, but you could just go with teenagers, you could go with sporty teenager, or teenagers involved, or is this a particular sport you can get really.
Yeah. Just
think of that. And so actually I want to use another metaphor in terms of just, I read breakthrough for me in marketing was this principle of polarity. Okay, so to be powerful in our marketing, we want to be attractive. Now think of a magnet has two poles, isn't it? It has a positive and a negative. So I have I'm imagining one of those big cartoon magnets in my hand, positive charge and negative charge. Now if it's a device I could plug it into and it increases the magnetism, the attraction of the charge would go up. But equally, the repelling force, the negative pole, will also be charged up. So the more powerful your marketing, the more powerful it will push people away who aren't for you, as it is as pulling the right people towards you.
Okay.
So sometimes we come up against this resistance, like, oh, but then if I pick that, and then I might lose out, and I won't have the nobody else. It's I'm too exclusive. Nobody else will be welcome. You'd be surprised how people find you nonetheless. Or you say you help busy professionals, but could you help me? I'm a struggling mom. Yeah, it's kind of a name. So think of that. Sometimes you might be afraid of repelling someone. Oh, but that's good because you want to repel a lot of people. You only need a very small few to fill your plan. If you're going to be coaching every week, etc. Coaching really suits that marketing. It's kind of very defined. So what else?
It wouldn't be too polarizing to say pre-diabetes and diabetes would be my thing. Yeah. It wouldn't be too small an area. I mean, there's a lot of scope for treating diabetes and pre-diabetes and metabolic health. So that wouldn't be too small an area to start with, which is where I'd be very happy, I suppose.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's a huge market because diabetics and
so I wouldn't be too small. I wouldn't be in too small a market, would I? But I'd also be very happy in that market because not because I was a clinician, because in a way that's a bit of a minus in terms of health coaching, but because I'm very confident in that area in terms of the background skills, and that I know I can help people because I've helped them before.
Brilliant. That sounds like you could say I help pre-diabetics and diabetics, or I help pre-diabetics and dependents. Super. That's a nice market for coaching because we can offer a lot of value and so much good. A lot of people there just don't have the kind of knowledge and awareness that you have, and you can provide a huge amount. Super. That's your.
So marrying the two up, the background, the clinical background and the health coaching. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
That's perfect. Good. So anybody else struggling with this who? Yeah, we can think about who do we hang around? Who do we see a lot of? Or who do we know? because you may want to work with busy professionals, but you're never exposed to them. You have to start from scratch to build up this audience. It's not necessarily a breaker or a maker or a breaker, but it's something to consider. You want to kind of stack up the things. Do you know a lot of busy professionals, Golden? You do. Super. That might kind of really help you.
Especially struggling moms, like you mentioned.
Okay.
I know.
I know that one too. Well, not first hand, but very close second hand.
Yes.
Yeah. So you can go. Sorry, Golden.
Sorry, I had a question actually. If I just quickly mention, when we market ourselves, can we say, like, can we start inclusively, like we help people who want to lose weight, feel better, and blah blah, and then share our story, like my story of becoming vegetarian and then trying to work things out around that, so I can help, like I can specialize helping working busy people, like working busy professionals that also try to have a plant-based diet, kind of thing. Like just start saying that all is welcome, but I don't know.
You can do that. That's I think so. This is what I came up against. Can I just be open to everybody and have a niche? So the thing is, the guidance I would give is knuckle down, start to kind of really refine a niche. It doesn't have to be front and center of everything.
Yes.
It's really useful, if somebody making a conversation is like, oh, what do you do? Rather than saying I'm a health and wellness coach. Oh, I help busy professionals to organize, to de-stress by organizing their life and making dietary improvements, something like that. And you go, oh, that is more meaning to someone than, oh, you're a health and wellness coach. You probably never heard of a health and wellness coach before, or something like that. Or you're an NLC, nutrition and lifestyle coach.
Yeah.
So that's the benefit of that. If you're able to, and then for example, if it's someone you're speaking directly to, you can refine your niche a little bit so that it's more inclusive or more exclusive. But if you're going out on social media and kind of creating a brand, etc., you want people to be able to identify, oh, Goldan is the girl who does this. Danny's the person I go to for this. Or Mary Ann's who works with diabetics, pre-diabetics, and she got this program. Jackie Crowley works with the teenagers. So that's kind of, you want to be starting to build up this familiarity, and then people go, oh, who's this? My teenager, my friend's a teenager. Oh yeah, Jackie Crowley, she is posted there recently. So your story, the beginning of your story, when you tell your story and you go through that, you can, that can be part of your marketing. And then ideally your story is where you get these challenges, breakthroughs, and they link in with who you help and how.
Okay, yes.
And then people might maybe just hear about you, to go on your website and how about page, oh, and this is the person who helps. And that's her story. Oh, she went through this as well. And she had an allergy and she couldn't detect it. And she's, but maybe my bloating is caused by that as well. And then she's really keen to talk to you, So don't be afraid to be exclusive. You can always open up again. Overcome that. That's what I had to do. And most of the time, like, overcome that and try it out. And then, so we got your who. Refine it down. I think we're all doing pretty good here on the who. Then it's like, well, what problem do you solve? So for the person reading or for the potential client, we all got stuff. We've all got stuff, challenges or something we're stuck in, or problems or pain points. So we got to get to, okay, what problems do I solve? What am I really good at solving? So you've got your example, Golden, it was nice. You can help people with two things I heard is making that transition to vegetarianism and getting your micronutrients, all that. Another one is what is the problem? So this is how you phrase it. So if you say I have people identify allergies that's causing bloating, you've lost. Most people is like, bloating is the only word they recognize.
Yes.
So if you can, I'm not even sure it was a ration or maybe not bloating. I just go into my own memory in terms of allergies. So you think of, okay, a lot of people do have digestive abnormal digestion. bloated, and it's normal. Oh, I've got a bad tummy or something, and it's not natural to be bloated. So, think of what challenges they're up against, and you maybe want to say bloated, but maybe that's what they're experiencing. You got to get clear when you, and this is the better you know the who. This is why it's closer to know the better you can try to step into their shoes and go, okay, what problem is it that I fix and that they have? So let me go back to the room. Anyone got an idea? Well, yours is pre-diabetes, diabetics, probably Marianne's. So we did this focusing on Marianne. What do you solve? What do you solve? What problem do they have?
I give them the chance to, the tools, I suppose, and the knowledge to start to prevent getting diabetes or to turn back the tide. So never too late to, so that, there's been a huge change in attitude to metabolic issues. They were always thought to be just diagnosed and then you had them forever and they were progressive. So what I got into was saying, actually, that's not true. The way we live in the Western world has made this accentuated a lot of these metabolic problems. So if we can get you tweaking your lifestyle, which then helps you, gives you the tools that give you more control over your health and start you're on your own journey to either preventing getting a really pretty awful chronic disease or even reversing it, which is, vastly exciting. It's also bound up with the metabolic syndrome and obesity. So it's all sort of...
Marianne, can I interrupt?
It's all included.
Super. So you've given me a lot there. That's a huge amount of value and potential transformation. Your challenge now is to be able to condense that down into a few words that the reader hears and goes, oh my God, yeah, that's what I've got.
Yeah.
So what is it? So this is thinking we all think about. So if you're pre-diabetic, it's maybe you've been diagnosed. Even that doesn't make sense. For a lot of people, it's like, well, what does that mean? So what is our day experience? They're not waking up and going, oh, I've got pre-diabetes in my stomach, or I'm not. For what does it cause? What problems does it bring up for them? And Jack, you've got the teenager. What problems? Actually, it's maybe in your who's the sponsor? Is it the parents or is it the teenager? Do you know their problem? And maybe your target market is the moms to help them with their kids.
It's probably to get them to associate food that's actually fueling their activities. And if they know more about it, they can eat better to perform better.
Okay, so if they eat better, they perform better. So what might be, how is that showing up for them? Understanding if that's the teenager and they're not eating well, how is it impacting them? What's the impact?
Well, they're tired and recovery is slower and they're prone to injury if they're not eating, you know what I mean? Different things like that. You can bring all that into it, Okay,
so now condensing it into your I help statement. I help sporty teenager, I help teenagers. The problem is it overcome fatigue. They're drastically. I help teenagers. Is it increase recovery time, prevent injury,
energy, prevent injury, quicker recovery time.
Quicker recovery time, yeah. So which one do you think, if there is a teenager or the parent, which are the most?
For teenagers, it's to be able to play better. Definitely for kids, yeah.
You're talking to big kid, okay. Improve performance.
Yeah.
Through better eating. So okay. Yeah. So it's something around performance. Is that what's motivating them? Is that I want to?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
At that age, they'll go to the gym on their own. Like if they think they'll get better, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. So you're at that end, at that part of the teenagers who are involved in sports and want to be winning, want to be doing better.
Yeah.
So improved performance might sum it up for you. So I help sporty teenagers improve performance on and off the pitch, improve performance by super. Danny, I haven't heard from you. You don't have to come in if you don't want, but are you okay there in terms of your who, your what?
Yes, Sharon, I'm just listening at the minute, and it's very interesting what you're discussing. I had to turn off the camera because I get echo, and like in this way I can listen a little bit better. My idea at the minute, like, is still quite wide. I'm trying to restrict and, you know, trying to refine, but I would like to work with people that maybe are recovering from cancer survivors, or males that they are struggling with weight management. That is what I feel like
Well, yeah.
like. It's not that I have more confidence, but I feel attracted, you know, those topics and those people. Yeah.
Okay, so the cancer, I heard the cancer or the cancer survivors.
Yeah.
And what was the second category?
Males that they are struggling with weight management.
Males.
Yeah.
So men.
Yeah, men.
Okay, so males would be, you might want to pull that down a bit, but the cancer, so a very, from my perspective, in terms of training a lot of coaches, health and wellness coaches, being in this world, a lot of people are reluctant to go anywhere near cancer because of the seriousness of it. And there's a lot of people out there, unfortunately, with cancer diagnosis and also in the recovering from. And there's so much. It's a brilliant time to have an ally, to have a coach, to have support. Yeah. So that is an area definitely I would, if you're interested in it. Do you think, I suppose, then, do you think you can offer? We have to actually, what are those cancer people's? What are their problem? How is it affecting them? Because we have a vague understanding of a lot of these things, but what's their challenge? Let's talk about. Let's pick either someone with a diagnosis or someone in the recovery phase.
It will be more in the recovery. Like, I've been witnessing, you know, people that they have been affected by cancer, and like their life has been torn, you know, from a health point of view, but also psychologically, you know, they just lost completely their confidence, and they felt everything was just falling apart, and their life was finishing, you know, there, instead of, you know, fighting and continuing and bearing person that they are.
Okay, so think of that. It's massive transition, a lot of changes forced, perhaps an identity change.
Yes.
So what do you think is their main, or think of their main problems there? What keeps them up at night? What's very present as a problem for them that you think you could solve?
And like I've seen, you know, from my friend, she felt she was not able, you know, to look after her family anymore.
Oh, yeah.
So she had, you know, to look after herself, but still try to be a mother and wife, and, you know, there was lots of pressure, and all the changes and the effect of the therapy, you know, was way too much to bear by herself, because sometimes, you know, she found difficult also to talk to the family, even if she had support. But I think, you know, if you have a coach, a friend, you know, that is there just, you know, listening and supporting you, it will be much different, you know, to go through.
Yeah. Okay, so what I'm hearing there is that, yeah, you're very kind of a support, and a supportive ally is kind of what you would be bringing to the table. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. And do you feel that resonates with you?
I think, yes, I have experienced that I have quite a good bit of empathy and understanding, and also, you know, I have some personal, not experience with cancer, but, you know, other health issues, so I can relate, you know, I can empathize easily with people that they're suffering, they're going through difficulties.
Okay. Well, there's a market there. There's an awful lot of people, way too many, unfortunately, who are recovering from cancer. A lot of adjustments, and like you say, it's a fabulous time to have support and ally. So if they're needing support, do they know that? Do they sometimes it's like we're in a real wound up, and then we get a coach, or we find an ally, or we find the right, and we go, that's what I needed, but we didn't know what we needed, but we knew what we were experiencing was very evident. Would it be overwhelm? What is a lack of support cause? What is a lack of support? Think of that kind of lack of support. If that person going through all that doesn't feel supported, what does it bring up for them?
Feeling alone, feeling with no hope.
Yeah. So maybe words like things like isolated.
Yes, I didn't want to use that word because it's been too much in the last 2 years.
So you got to kind of think of the language. That's kind of what they're feeling. So they're feeling a lack of connection, so they're feeling isolated. So what might be their pain point? If you're isolated, lonely.
Lonely, yes.
Lonely, that might be the pain. Now, you may not use that word, but can get clearer on that. Or you could, on lack of support might be their pain point, but it's better to get into when you're lack of support, I know for some people it's overwhelmed. It's like, I've got support there, they can manage everything. Oh my God, they lose somebody or something, and it's like, then it's overwhelmed. So think of what it shows up for, because that's what's going to be present in their mind, and that's what you will speak to with this statement. So we kind of covered that already. And then the third part is how. So this is really who you help, and then there's how you help, and what you help them with. But how do you do that? What makes you unique? What makes you stand out? What makes your how to help statement stand out more than someone else who's got the similar target audience, perhaps, and helping them with the same problem? And this again, your life experience. You could draw on that. So you could, you've got your why, your how, sorry, your who, you got your what you do, they got their pain. How do you help them? That's your methodology. Now, if you're new to coaching or haven't got that many things under your belt, it can be easier when you have that done. It does not stop you pulling it down to a statement. So what is it? Do you help them build habits? Do you help them? Do you give them all the support you need? Do you hold their hands? Sometimes the hand holding, you may want to call it that, but it's kind of that support. Maybe you're really good at mindset coaching, or you are that great listener. Just think of your strengths here rather than what you will put in the statement. Everybody, just put in. One thing we don't do half enough of is talk about our strengths. So I'm challenging you all now to type in at least 1 or 2 strengths that you have. It's important, let's be a bit more visible now. It's a very small group here, and everybody's sharing. Hi, Christiana. Thanks for joining us. What strengths do you have? Are you a great listener? Are you good and strong in a mindset, nutritional? What's your real passion? Maybe what's coming in there?
I think mine comes from experience. So, and I'm very passionate about the area that I want to practice in. So I am really passionate about trying to help people change their mindset about being able to optimize their health in a way they didn't know they could. So, in many ways that my clientele are the ones that have been told that, they can't make it better. It's progressive and they're going to get complications. And so they're a great audience for me in a way. I have done it before, so I know I can do it. They all know I can do it. They all start at different places, obviously, and there's no set formula, but I'm going to build a program with some scaffolding, I think, that gives me a format, but I'll only use it, and I'm sure it'll evolve, and then I'll work out a slightly more flexible one. But in other words, I want to cover certain areas with them, I think.
Yeah, so this is where what would be useful then, Marianne, is if you could imagine, okay, I'm going to construct a program, even if you only get that framework clear in your mind, that will help you. That's not going to help you. And if you know that the diabetes is something like that, or the cancer sufferer, or the, you know, what would be guiding most people through? And then you can condense it to, like, well, maybe through my online program, my online coaching program, or nutrition, individual nutrition advice, or
exactly.
So who else? Oh, here we go. Empathic and compassionate. Great. So then, anybody else, get your strengths in there. Now's the time to just be a little bit less humble than we normally have to be. Okay. Thank you, Guldan. Think of your strengths and get, because this is, you got to come, you don't have to be egoic, but you got to know it's clear and what have I got to bring? If I bring myself to this part of the garden, what will I offer? So, and that will help you go, okay.
I know I can guide people the right way. I just have to build something to start with. I have to start somewhere. I have to will myself to go out there and find the audience and start. Yeah. I think it'll all get easier once I do, but it's just diving off the end of the board bit that's hard.
Yeah. Just that, yeah.
I've never worked for myself. I've always been part of big organizations. I've worked to protocols. I haven't always followed the protocol, but you know what I mean. I'm within the, this is all about me providing a service for which somebody is going to pay me. And it scares the pants off me, really, because it's not what I'm used to. I'm used to being part of some blur if I want to be. So I suppose that's the hard bit for me. I'm very confident about the area. I'm very confident I can help people. I'm passionate. I'm definitely empathetic, but I think it's the bit about, am I worth it somehow? Am I?
So I coach and mentor coach coaches, train coaches, etc. And a lot of this, we will have blocks. We're like, oh, am I good enough? What do I charge? So there's all these blocks that we carry around, and I've shed loads, and there's loads more in there. So getting a great target, and if you haven't already done it, is getting my first paying client. Get that in the bag. I just thought that I had a call earlier on with a coach I trained, and coaching her. And actually she just challenged her off to her first client. She texted me before we started, and she reached out to 10 people. She got several responses. She had a discovery call, and she has almost done a sale now. She has to get approved. The client has got approved from the hubby. So it's something to take it pushed. And I do plan to offer more if there's enough interest on that kind of first paying client. Seems to be a good one. A bit of a challenge, a bit of support, a bit of guidance to get you over the line. Now, okay, the new coach, there's a lot of barriers there. So just break it down. This will help. Very good listening at the beginning. Okay, so you think focus on your strengths, good listening, and now map that across to how the person's going to read this. Now, by good listening, it's not going to work. By being a support, it's not going to work. So think of what the problem is, and then how you breathe them through it. So it could be through this is where, people go a little bit further in line. You go, I help, diabetics. I have pre-diabetics reverse symptoms with my 12-week program or my 6-week program. So this is where you kind of, when you get your head around it, getting a structure, getting a program in place. Okay, so that's something that's tangible and of substance. Or it could be through one-to-one coaching, because one-to-one might be your strength, if you're a good listener and you're empathic. And a lot of people just need that primarily. Especially people who the medics doesn't work for, the medics aren't trained in that kind of stuff. So that might be your what you do, but you through one-to-one coaching, it could be as simple as that. But you want to just separate, because someone else might be doing the same thing, but through personal training. For weight loss, might be through personal training, changing your diet, climbing mountains in your underwear, whatever it is. So okay. So putting it all together. Well, actually, before we do that, I kind of covered this already. Yeah, we want to understand what's their pain. So the benefit of doing all of this is that if you can really, you start to go, I know this category of people really well. I like them. I want to work with them. I love them. or at least I'm going to at least it's worthy to give them a try. Then, and I know what they're up against. I know what, and for example, go back to the earlier thing that your ideal client is the former you, previous you. I know what it feels like to, like as a new coach, I know that feeling, get maybe not the first paying client that came pretty, but so much else. It's like visibility and confidence, and then you might have what do you do when you get stuck? So there's going to be these pains along the way, and if you can talk to the pain, and and that, and you're familiar with it, that's going to give you a lot of credibility. And then I suppose you'd really look at the niche, getting your niche down and having that nailed. Okay, so once you have that down and you've kind of decided, and it may take you a while, then all of your content, you make it get clear in your message. What message do you want to give out to others? What's your main core message? And what are maybe your my strengths? So you get clearer on what you're trying to transmit all the time, consistent, not exact same message, but consistently throughout your communication. People are going to go, Marianne's working with diabetics, and Danny's this really that good supportive listener for coach. Danny does one-to-one coaching to help people through the personal challenges of cancer, surviving cancer, or cancer recovery. Or maybe it's, so you think about that, then you start, your content you create, the message you do, even just having it verbally when conversations, it starts to be consistent, and people start to go, oh, that relate, this person does that, helps this person, and that becomes much more powerful. So let me just give you some next steps. I'm going to follow this up with an email to all of you and all those who registered. Kind of your next steps. So if you want to think of one-to-one coaching, you maybe have a block. There's you can do set up a free discovery call with me, or maybe one thing of a longer term, but just speak to me. I'll try and help you in the half hour as much as I can. If it leads to some kind of coaching, there's a flexibility there. Opt in for my DYLC, my Design Your Life coaching emails. I'll send you an opt-in if you're not already registered to that. That's where you'll hear about these events and more. I want to let you know about a 12-week Build Your Authentic Wellness Business online group coaching program. It'll start in the autumn, maybe September, October, and it's going to be for 12 weeks. I'm running that. We're alongside two other ladies who both work in IHS, Oksana Peterson and Catherine, who else is that name? Melanie, I think. Sorry, Catherine. So you can link to that program, and there's also an email opt-in for that as well. So I'll send that all out to you by email. And so let me just check in. Let me know, what are you taking? Anyone here got some, to wrap this up, what are you taking from the call today? Let's do a kind of a
1500.
Anyone underline? Okay, just one little small piece. Yeah, that's useful.
I feel I can do it now.
Wow.
Well, I feel like I can have a bash, because I have actually got all the tools.
You can have a bash. You sure can.
I just need to get the bash, and I think I've got to find some clients. That's what I've got to do.
Yeah. Okay. Keep it really simple. You just got to find. So reach out. Probably people already in your inner circle, your outer circle, just to already know context. Reach out to a few of them. Get clear on what you're able to help with. And who would be a good person for that, and then reach out. Just connect. There's a different webinar I'll do on connecting, inviting, enrolling, offering, breaks and all that, and help with discovery call, etc. So thank you. Anybody else? Even a chat box, just a few keywords or a part of this that was useful. It's great for feedback, and it's also helpful for the rest. Just kind of go, oh yeah, summarize it. You can stick it in the chat box if you wish.
Yeah, Shane, I work with, I suppose, different ages, and it's a broad spectrum, so it's helping me to focus, I suppose, put a message out there to focus down towards what I want more of.
Okay,
sounds right.
So, and that sounds perfect. Like focusing in a lot of niche is all about focusing down, and that, yeah, it's like think of also the essence. If you're making a remember once I was asked to make this plant essence, a flower essence. So the idea is you put the material, the plant, whatever, into water, and you want to get the essence of it into the water. And then you can, or even if you're doing alcohol, etc., you can condense it down. You can make it more and more potent. So that the more refined your niche, the more potent it is. And you may not be ready to get really focused and really exclusive, but you're on that narrowing, and that's a great take home.
Yeah, brilliant.
So
Thanks very
Marianne
much.
says, making me feel more confident about starting my build my scaffolding, and then testing it. Brilliant. Take this approach in marketing. Just bring it out to the market. Bring your product to the market. It's not you. I felt where you have to separate yourself from the product, your service, and bring it to the market. And if the market doesn't like it, or like it, and they want to pay for it, go back and then bring a different product to the market. Danny got a little bit more clarity. Yeah, so it's work in progress for most of you, for probably all of us. So just continually asking good questions. Okay, I hope this is of value to you all. I think we've gone up on time. Thank you so much for joining me. And I'll send everything. Do connect, or do sign up for the email, etc., so you get informed next time. And I'm going to be working on a confidence series next week for Build Your Authentic Wellness Business. So you'll hear more about that soon. I might do a free event in the next couple of weeks.
Lovely.
Have a super day. Thank you all so much.
Thank you very
so
much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.